here's what they don't tell you about friendship in anime. Most main characters treat their friends like chess pieces. They calculate who's useful, who deserves saving, and who gets left behind. They make grand speeches about bonds while secretly keeping score of who owes them what. But there's one pirate captain who breaks every single rule about how heroes are supposed to act. And his approach to friendship is so pure, so ridiculously simple, that it's actually changing how millions of people connect with others in real life. This rubber-brained goofball has cracked the code on something most of us struggle with our entire lives. And what I'm about to show you will completely change how you think about making friends. Monkey D. Luffy doesn't just collect crew members, he transforms broken people into family. When he meets Chopper, a reindeer who's been called a monster his whole life, Luffy's first reaction isn't pity or fear. He literally jumps up and down screaming about how cool it is that a reindeer can talk. That's it. No judgment, no conditions, just pure excitement about meeting someone new. I remember watching this scene for the first time and thinking, wait, that's it? No dramatic backstory reveal, no test of loyalty? Nope. Luffy just decides Chopper is awesome, and that's the end of the discussion. When Robin joins the crew, she's carrying the weight of an entire island's destruction and believes everyone around her will eventually die because of her curse. Luffy's response? He falls asleep during her tragic backstory. Not because he doesn't care, but because he's already decided she's his friend. Her past doesn't change that fact. And here's where it gets crazy. This isn't some fairy tale nonsense. Luffy's friendship philosophy is actually backed by real psychology. Studies show that unconditional positive regard, accepting someone without trying to change them, is one of the most powerful forces for human growth. Most of us offer friendship like a contract with terms and conditions. Luffy offers it like a gift with no strings attached. He sees Zoro tied to a post, hears he's a feared pirate hunter, and his first thought is, this guy seems cool, I want him on my crew. When Sanji kicks him in the face, Luffy's takeaway is, wow, this cook is really strong and makes amazing food. Normal people would hold grudges. Luffy holds possibilities. But here's where most people get Luffy completely wrong, and it's the reason so many miss the point entirely. They think he's naive, that his simple approach to friendship only works in a fantasy world. They couldn't be more mistaken, because the truth is, real friendship is actually incredibly difficult in our world right now. Think about your last few attempts at making friends. How much mental energy did you spend analyzing their texts, wondering if you're being too clingy or not interested enough, calculating how long to wait before responding so you don't seem desperate? We're taught to protect ourselves, to keep walls up, to earn trust slowly over time. Social media has turned relationships into performance art, where we curate perfect versions of ourselves for approval. We swipe left on people based on a single photo. We ghost friends when they become inconvenient. It's exhausting. And then there's the big one. We live in a culture that tells us we need to fix people. Your friend is depressed? Give them advice. Your partner has flaws? Help them improve. Your family member makes bad choices? Intervene and guide them toward better decisions. I used to be guilty of this too. I'd meet someone and immediately start spotting all the ways I could help them become better. Spoiler alert, nobody wants a friend who's secretly their life coach. This creates draining relationships where everyone's trying to be someone else's therapist, parent, and moral compass, all at once. We stop seeing people for who they are and start seeing them for who we think they should become. Meanwhile, here's a stat that'll blow your mind. Rates of loneliness have skyrocketed over the past decade. Despite being more connected than ever before through technology, people report feeling more isolated than previous generations. Young adults are struggling to form deep friendships. Mental health issues are rising partly because people don't feel genuinely accepted anywhere. We've overcomplicated something that should be simple. We've turned friendship into work instead of joy. But wait, it gets worse before it gets better. That's exactly what makes Luffy's approach so revolutionary. He doesn't try to fix anyone. He doesn't offer friendship with conditions. He doesn't keep emotional scorecards or expect people to earn their place in his life. Watch how he handles Usopp leaving the crew during Water 7. Any normal person would feel betrayed, angry, maybe even vindictive. Usopp challenged Luffy's authority as captain and walked away during their biggest crisis. But when the dust settles and Usopp wants to come back, he's too proud to apologize directly. So he hides behind a building and pretends to be someone else asking to rejoin. And Luffy, this absolute legend, plays along with the charade because he understands that sometimes people need to save face to heal their hearts. He doesn't demand a groveling apology. He doesn't make Usopp prove his loyalty. He just wants his friend back, and he's willing to bend every rule of pride and logic to make that happen. Can you imagine doing that in real life? Someone hurts you, walks away, then wants back in but won't even admit they were wrong? Most of us would be like, nah, you need to apologize first. But Luffy gets something we don't. Sometimes being right matters less than being together. Or look at how he treats former enemies. Crocodile tried to destroy an entire kingdom and nearly killed Luffy multiple times. But when they're trapped and impelled down together, Luffy treats him like any other ally. No lectures, no I told you so moments, just, hey, we're on the same side now, let's work together. This drives some fans absolutely crazy because they want justice, consequences, moral complexity. But Luffy operates on a different level entirely. He's not interested in being right or teaching lessons, he's interested in connection. And here's the part that'll change everything you think you know about friendship. This approach actually works better than traditional friendship rules. When you accept people without trying to change them, they naturally become more open to growth. When you trust someone unconditionally, they often rise to meet that trust. When you lead with your heart instead of your head, you create space for authentic connection. I tested this myself after watching One Piece. Instead of analyzing every interaction with new people, I started just enjoying them. Instead of looking for red flags or trying to figure out if they were worth my time, I approached conversations with genuine curiosity and warmth. The difference was incredible. People opened up faster, conversations felt more natural, and friendships formed way easier. But nothing, and I mean nothing, demonstrates Luffy's friendship power better than what happens at Enies lobby. Robin has spent her entire life believing she's a burden, that anyone who gets close to her will suffer. She's internalized decades of trauma and convinced herself that running away is the only way to protect the people she cares about. When the crew comes to rescue her, she fights them off, tells them she doesn't want to be saved, insists they'll be better off without her. Any reasonable person would respect her wishes and walk away. But Luffy doesn't deal in reasonable. He deals in absolute love. So he does something that breaks every rule of consent and personal boundaries. He orders Sogeking to shoot down the world government flag, not as a political statement, not as a tactical move, but as a declaration that says, I don't care what you think you deserve, I don't care how dangerous it is, I don't care if the whole world becomes our enemy, you are our friend, and we are going to save you whether you like it or not. And then Robin breaks. 20 years of walls crumble in an instant as she finally screams the words she's been afraid to say her whole life, I want to live. I'm not gonna lie, I ugly cried the first time I watched this scene, and I've seen grown men break down during this moment because it hits something so deep and universal about human nature. That moment only works because Luffy's friendship isn't based on logic or conditions, it's based on something deeper. The understanding that sometimes people are drowning in their own pain and need someone to throw them a lifeline even when they're pushing it away. We all have parts of ourselves we think are unlovable. We all have moments where we push people away because we're afraid of being hurt or abandoned. We all need someone in our lives who will refuse to let us disappear into our own darkness. Luffy shows us what unconditional love looks like in action. It's not enabling bad behavior or ignoring red flags. It's seeing the scared child inside every broken adult and saying, you matter, you belong, and I'm not going anywhere. So here's what makes Luffy the most inspiring character in anime, and why millions of fans say he changed their lives. He proves that the most powerful force in the universe isn't strength or intelligence or even courage.
It's the simple decision to see people as worthy of love exactly as they are. In a world that profits from our insecurities, that tells us we need to improve ourselves constantly to deserve connection, Luffy's message is radical. You are enough right now, today, with all your flaws and fears and failures. His crew isn't made up of perfect people. It's made up of people who've been given permission to be imperfect together, and that permission transforms them into something greater than they ever could have been alone. The real treasure in One Piece isn't gold or fame or power. It's the discovery that when you love people without conditions, you create a family that will literally fight the world for you. That's a lesson worth more than any treasure chest could ever hold. Hit subscribe if watching Luffy taught you something about friendship.